Welcome to They Were Both Found Dead, the podcast where the eerie, the unexplained, and the downright chilling take center stage.
From ghostly encounters and urban legends to true crime cases that baffle and disturb, we explore the dark corners of the world, sometimes with a sense of humor, sometimes with a sense of dread.
So buckle up, because whether it's paranormal or painfully real, the stories we tell all have one thing in common.
They didn't end well.
Hi, I'm Ramsey.
And this is Adrian.
And this is
They Were Both Found Dead.
the topic of today's episode.
It's gonna be medical malpractice.
How was your day today?
My day? Oh my gosh, Ramsey, you don't even want to hear about it.
I do, actually. I've been waiting.
Okay. Yeah, I told you I was gonna wait till we were on the pod to tell you about it. Yeah, the pod. Anyways, today, I work at a bank, by the way, guys. Oh, you guys don't know me. I work at a bank. My name is Adrian and everything.
Don't even, bother asking. He won't rob it for you if you ask. I've tried.
I would only do that for myself. Okay,
Selfish.
So you know what happened today? There was these people that come in and scam us all the time. And they do it to the same place. They come to our place to do that. And we know they're scamming.
Damn.
And they come do it again. And it's like, we're going to catch on at some point, right? And today we did.
How did they scam you?
It's kind of weird. It's like these two people that would bring meth heads or something, or I don't know. They would bring like random people, and they would open accounts in another bank, and then bring them here and use false checks to deposit into that bank account.
So they target vulnerable people.
Yes, and
that's fucked up.
I know, and something horrible happened today. They try to deposit that check and get money out from that check, even though there's like no funds connected to it, but you get like $500 or whatever.
And that's money.
I'm not giving ideas to nobody, please.
You'll get caught. That's what the story is
Exactly.
about.
So then we knew they were doing that, so we were told to call the police whenever that happens, and we call the police. We called 911, and I had to stall them. I had to be there and stall them.
That is so much pressure.
I know. And I was like, oh, hold on, I'm just doing your transaction. Give me 1 second. And then they were trying to start getting anxious. And this is in the drive-thru of the bank. So I wasn't like face or like too close to them. There was like a glass in between us. And then they ran off, you know? But then they came inside to the bank. Just one of them. Just the guy that they were like trying to do the scam on, or like not like being part of it, but he wasn't like the full, like the mastermind or whatever. He was kind of the victim, but he was also trying to do it.
Oh, okay, I see.
And he was trying to get his ID back because I didn't give it back to him. And then they had to stall him in the lobby, and then the police came and they arrested him, and the other people fled. And that was so crazy, and we were looking at it, and it was so wild. I don't even know.
So you basically held a sting operation today.
Yeah, exactly. I was
That's so much pressure.
Yeah, I was doing more than the cops today. Can you imagine?
What time today did that happen?
That was before I even went to lunch. So that was
That's hilarious. I was wondering if it was near the end of the shift thing, first thing in the morning.
I know, it was like 10, 11, something like that.
They're trying to catch you tired, sleepy-eyed.
I know, and that whole situation just made me so tired, and I not even wanted to work after that. But oh well, that's what we do.
And it was worth it.
I know.
Did you get any other crazy people? Any other scams?
No. Knowing these people, they're probably just going to come back tomorrow. I swear to God. And
once they get bailed out, they're like, hey, guys.
Well, some of them fled. The mastermind fled.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So they're going to come back with somebody else. Anyways, that was my story. That's the one I was telling you. And that's never happened to me before. That's so crazy.
I watch YouTube videos of these people, and they take crimes that have happened, and then the dash cam footage and the police body cam footage and any security footage that's available from the internet. And I've literally watched one where it was these people doing a scam at the bank, and the teller was doing what you were doing. They were trying to stall them so that they couldn't leave, and it had it on the security cam. So I wonder if you're gonna end up in a YouTube video someday.
Can you imagine? Oh, I would do so good in a YouTube video.
I'll send you the link when I find it.
Oh, yes, please. I was part of it. That's crazy. Thinking about I was part of it is crazy.
You are the investigation. Today, my day was much less exciting. I started a documentary on Netflix called The Program.
Ooh, I
about
like that.
Teenagers whose parents were like, you know what these kids need instead of parenting? Let's send strange men to lock them up or grab them in handcuffs and take them somewhere and lock them up. And they would strip search them. And a lot of the teenage girls would talk about how they were strip searched by men.
Oh my God.
And they literally just had their hands to cover them. They took all their clothes and they had to do squats and they had to bend and cough. And that's just like the arrival. That's not their time there. Like, they had to ask permission to turn their head. They had to ask permission to look out the window. They had to ask permission to make eye contact with each other.
Wait, was this a reality show or something? Or was it
was
just
a school, quote unquote, that parents would send their kids to if they were like misbehaving. Like, the main person that's making the documentary was someone that went there, and they got caught with a Mike's Harder.
Oh, shit.
This is like in 2005, I believe, that they went. Yeah, their parents had them picked up from their school.
Wow. Now that's wild.
And people would spend years there. Kids would spend years there.
Years? Like, actually?
Years.
Like, living there?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
It's really
trauma.
Highly recommend. Really good so far. I haven't finished it yet.
What's it called again?
The Program on Netflix.
I don't have Netflix.
Well, someone does, hopefully. So, I believe I'm starting today.
Yes, you are. I want to hear it.
All right. So the topic of this week was medical malpractice, which is kind of a broad topic, but it is a pretty dark topic. My first one is a lot more tame than my second one. I am starting today with the Little Albert experiment.
Little Albert experiment?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think I've heard about this, but I've never deep dived into it. Nothing.
It's pretty famous, and I'm not going to lie, I got a little distracted off the topic because the backstory of the people behind it was actually pretty fascinating compared to what actually happened. Not to lessen it at all. I just had I knew what had happened. I didn't know about the people that did it.
Oh.
So the Little Albert experiment was ran by John B. Watson and Rosalie Rayner at Johns Hopkins University in 1920. Have you ever heard of Pavlov?
Yeah, the dog one?
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
So
cool.
for anyone that has not heard of Pavlov, Ivan Pavlov was a Russian scientist who studied classical conditioning, now also known as Pavlovian conditioning, which is, put most simply, learning through association. Pavlov specifically rang a bell every time a set of dogs were fed, and eventually he was able to cause the dogs to salivate by simply ringing the bell.
Oh my god, I had a psychology class where I had to be taught all that, and seeing all the other experiments they did. It's crazy.
Running the experiment was John B. Watson, who was born on January 9th, 1878, and who was extremely passionate about his beliefs on learned behaviors, and he was voted most handsomest professor at Johns Hopkins.
Oh, shit.
Why is that even an award?
Oh, shit.
Imagine going to go to your work at your bank. Your bank, you own it now. And you're voted most handsomest bank person.
Oh my gosh, rich and handsome?
Rich
I love it.
In 1919, he was voted that. So let's just give you an idea of the era. He was hot. It was pre-World War II.
Ooh, okay.
It's pre-Depression, so, like, bitches are going down.
Okay.
He found a fellow believer in his graduate student, Rosalie Rayner. She was 21, born September 25th, 1898, and doubled as his research assistant. Side note, my birthday is September 24th, 1998. So 1 day and 100 years apart. Thought that was kind of funny.
What? Exactly 100?
1 day and 100 years, yep.
Wow.
A little connection with her.
Kind of personal.
What was I doing? It's 1919. I was just about to turn 21, and also COVID was about to happen, so shit got real for me too. The Little Albert experiment was, like Pavlov's, super simple, and unlike Pavlov's, was performed on a little 9-month-old human baby boy. These tests were recorded, by camera, even though it was 1919. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Something super important to note. While it is entirely unknown whether or not Watson or Rayner were aware at the time, modern reviews of the footage make it pretty clear that baby Albert definitely had developmental delays. Obviously, that can skew what happened, the experiment results and stuff. I'm assuming that they didn't know, and it does make it a little bit worse. That not only were they torturing a baby, but they were torturing a medically disabled baby.
Oh.
Just something to keep in mind. So step 1 of the Little Albert experiment was to expose him to a neutral stimuli, something that he doesn't react to. Watson and Rayner chose a white rat after ensuring that was a neutral object for this particular baby. I would probably be really excited if someone showed a white rat. Well, it depends. If you're showing me your pet rat, I want to pet it. If you're showing me a wild rat, I'm going to cry and run.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. Have you seen, the really big city rats?
New York City specifically?
Oh, I went to Mexico City and I saw one. I was eating tacos in a stand. Oh my gosh. And then I was walking right next to it, and a big rat just went into the gutter.
Ratatouille.
So
he
bad.
made the tacos.
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh my God.
He wanted you to see you enjoy his work.
He made my tacos. Okay. All right.
So step 2 was to do something to scare him every time baby Albert saw said rat. So it's like the opposite. If someone gave you a taco every time you saw a rat, you'd be like, you know what, rats are fucking cool.
Okay.
No, they chose to bang loudly on an iron pipe. Over time, when exposed to the rat, baby Albert would cry, even when there was no loud noise. Oh. He also began to react the same way for anything resembling the rat, including a small white dog and a white fur jacket.
Just torturing the kid.
Yeah, just giving him trauma.
Oh my god. Are you
for the
serious?
Rest of your life.
Not even a year old.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And he's like, I see some white fucking clump of fur, I'm upset. Trauma.
Yeah, it's like the 1900s, so...
The 1900s of it all.
Beginning 1900s.
Essentially, they aimed to give baby Albert a learned phobia, which is obviously unethical. What makes this particular experiment so notoriously unethical, however, is the fact that they didn't even try to uncondition him. They just were like, you know what, good luck, live your life like this, bitch! They knew how to uncondition anything like this. Another little boy, much like baby Albert, was also experimented on. This little boy didn't find the rat to be neutral at all. He was terrified. So they fed this little boy nice snacks, his absolute favorites. They gave him, like, all the stuff he loved. And then with the rat in the cage, they moved it closer and closer until not only was this little boy not afraid of the rat, but showed active joy. Because when he saw that rat, he's like, it's Christmas time. Little Albert, however, they were like, good luck. Bye.
What the fuck? Why?
Literally, imagine looking at a 9-month-old and being like, I fucked you up knowingly. Have a good life.
That's crazy.
Okay, so that was in 1919 that all started. And then in January 1920, the experiment was still happening. At this point, Watson is revered as one of the best up-and-coming psychologists of his time. And he was given a 50% salary increase.
Oh, wow.
That's
generous.
Big fucking money.
Generous.
By October, that was January that salary increase happened. By October of 1920, he was fired from Johns Hopkins for public indiscretion.
Any deets?
Yes, I have all the deets. I have plural deets.
All right.
So he married May Ikes in 1901, and they had 2 children together, a boy and a girl, also named John and Mary. His wife, Mary Ikes, was born into a very politically affluent family. Most notably was her brother, Harold Ikes, who served as a Secretary of the Interior for 13 years. He is the longest person to have ever held that title, and the second longest person to maintain their seat in the president's cabinet. He was the one who implemented Roosevelt's New Deal, which were policies, laws, and programs made to address and try to bring an end to the Great Depression. Okay. Her family, they were all a big deal.
Okay.
Harold's son and Mary Ike's nephew would end up being White House Deputy Chief of Staff under Bill Clinton's presidency, just to give an idea about her family, like, they're still working in the government.
Okay.
So when Mary Ikes was cleaning her home one day and stumbled across a slew of love letters from between her husband, 42-year-old John B. Watson, and his grad student, 21-year-old Rosalie Rayner, you know, the person running the experiment with him.
Messy.
Her entire family had her back and helped her leave Watson, even going as far as to have some of their love letters published in the local paper. Now, okay. I tried to find where she published them, and I couldn't. However, I did find an old newspaper that mentions them. But some, like, the headline is Rosalie Rayner, co-respondent, weds soulmate. And it's, like, an old newspaper.
Oh, yeah,
right?
I see it, yeah.
And some of the motherfucking stories in this newspaper are actually insane.
Imagine getting your tea off a newspaper. That's crazy.
Like, this one is Wife Dead and Suicide Pact, Hubby and Rival Reneg, both in jail. And it's basically an article where this wife, who was a young girl, formed a suicide pact with these 2 men because they both left her and she couldn't decide. Oh. And then she killed herself, and then they were both like, never mind.
Oh my god.
And it's not funny. It's just actually so dark and fucked up.
Wait, what year is this?
This is in 1920. This is Buffalo, New York, January 2nd, 1920.
Wow.
And, like, almost every fucking story in this newspaper is like that.
It's, like, dark
Soldier's
like that?
son 5 months in casket at home, father's death shows. So, like, these people's father has, like, a health issue, and so they call for help, and they show up, and they try to save him, and he dies. And then they're like, who's that in the corner? And they're like, it's our soldier. It's our son, and he's been dead for 5 months.
What the hell?
Yeah, so that's what was going on at this time. To kind of give a little picture, they're experimenting on babies, people are holding bodies in their houses like it's chill, people are committing suicide pacts, and then half of them are being like, JK.
Okay.
I
know, that's what a messy time. Jesus Christ.
In one town, too.
I know. Oh, one town?
Yeah.
Messy.
This is a local paper.
Where is this?
This is like the Omaha Herald saying, guess what happened this week?
It's normal back in the day, I guess.
Okay, so John B. Watson, he's fired. He can't find
Okay.
any jobs in academia, and he was ensured that Rosalie would be shunned anywhere near their town. Because, you know, she shacked up with her professor who was married. And even though she was only 21 and he was in his fucking 40s, it's more her fault than his at this time to people.
Okay.
So Rosalie dropped out of college and they left and they got married in 1921. Just 1 year after the Little Albert experiment, the scientists behind it went from a professor married with high acclaim from his peers and a student research assistant on the way to a very promising career to a divorced newlywed man, a newly married college dropout, both shunned by their peers and academia at large. They ended up having 2 sons together, and eventually Rosalie Rayner died on June 18th, 1935 at 36 years old. She died from dysentery from eating tainted fruit. What a horrible way to die.
What the hell? How do you even die by that?
Like, you shit yourself to death. Dysentery?
What does tainted fruit mean?
Like, spoiled.
Oh,
It, like, doesn't really... it was, like, spoiled in a way that doesn't really happen anymore. It was... when I looked it up, it was, like, a bunch of old...
Oh, like, old-timey stuff?
Yeah, kind of like getting scurvy in
yeah,
the
and
year
they don't have, like,
War
vaccines.
2025.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I don't approve of the way these two got together. Again, she was his 21-year-old student. He was a married 42-year-old fucking professor.
I know. Imagine when he met her, though.
She was probably even younger.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. However, the other thing I will say is he never remarried. Ever. And he died on September 25th, 1958, when he was 80 years old, on what would have been Rosalie's 60th birthday. So, like, that's kind of romantic as fuck if you ignore everything else.
Yeah, exactly. No. Not even.
Now,
But-
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, do people live that long back in the day? 80? Isn't that, like, super old for them?
So, okay, like, yes, a little bit. Like, the living has gone up a little bit, but it's only gone up by, like, a few years.
Oh, okay.
The average lifespan was lower because people died way more giving birth and in war.
Oh,
So
alright.
if you didn't die in your early 20s from popping out a few kids or from war or has a little, and especially that's one of the reasons they had so many kids is because you also died a lot as a little child.
Yeah.
If once you got past like 25, you were going to live a normal lifespan.
Okay.
It was just that early shit that was fucked up.
Yeah, okay. Unless something happens like tainted fruit or something.
Yeah, like tainted fruit. Which happened like in the 1950s. That wasn't... I could be totally... Like, that's, I don't think, right, the 1950s. But it happened a lot later in the 1900s, so that's kind of crazy. 1935. That's later than I would think. Okay, the children. Watson had 4 children.
Okay.
2 of them he had with his first wife, Mary Ikes, and then he had 2 with Rosalie after that. Watson and Ikes named their children after themselves, John and Mary. Mary is documented to have attempted suicide, and her husband ended up successfully taking his own life. Their child, Watson and Ike's granddaughter, suffered from psychological issues and was an actress in Old Hollywood. And then the 2 kids that Watson and Rosalie had were William and James. Both sons were documented attempting to take their own lives, with William succeeding in 1954 at 33 years old, 19 years after his mother's death and 4 years before his father's death.
Wow.
A lot of the information was lost about Watson's like personal life because he would burn his letters and personal messages. I'm guessing he started doing that after Mary Ikes found his love letters with Rosalie. But it's pretty much agreed on by everyone around them, by both families too, that Watson's extreme beliefs in behavior conditioning and interesting parenting style were largely to blame for his children's extreme issues with self-esteem and suicidal thoughts. And last but not least, Little Albert. While it will never be able to be entirely confirmed, Little Albert is believed to have been a 9-month-old named Douglas Murray, who ended up passing from congenital hydrocephalus at age 6, which is basically a spinal fluid building up in the brain.
Damn. So his name wasn't even Albert?
No, that was like an anonymous thing.
Oh. Okay.
So he was just referred to as Baby
Oh,
Albert.
I see. So we don't even know who the kid is.
We don't even know for sure.
Oh,
They
I see.
believe this is who he is. Most likely, this condition caused the developmental delays noticed in the Little Albert recordings. And that is my first topic.
Wow. Imagine that. What horrible parenting must he have given those kids?
I
For them
literally
to
went
wanna-
into it thinking that was going to be about Little Albert, and it was like, no, he fucked up a whole lot of people.
Yeah. No, if he does that, imagine his own life. Yeah, exactly. Horrible.
Imagine him just at home experimenting on his kids. Oh shit,
I
that's actually not
know.
even funny.
Anyways. That was a good topic. Good one, Ramsey.
Thank you.
I like that. I like listening to you talk.
I like listening to you sleep. I'm outside your door at night.
Okay. Wow. I guess we segue to my topic, which I like my topic. That's why I picked it.
You
Right?
like it?
Well, no. I don't like... I think it's interesting. And I feel like other people would think it was interesting too, even if they already know it or not. But
I'm excited to finally learn what it is. I've been wondering.
Oh yeah. Well, mine. It's not exactly like a medical malpractice case. It's about like a procedure that was made that was completely horrible. So it was just pure malpractice right there.
That sounds malpractice.
I know. Oh, okay. Perfect. So mine is about the lobotomies.
Oh, shit.
The history of the lobotomies, guys.
The like most... Well, yeah, that's pretty well documented malpractice.
I know. You don't know anything about it, do you? Yeah, exactly. Don't say anything to that, Ramsey. All right, so I'm going to talk about specifically the person that created the lobotomy that we all know. His name is Walter Freeman. He was born in November 14th, 1895. Pretty old. He was an American physician, and he's known for popularizing the use of lobotomies. He created a specific method for lobotomies so that underqualified people, such as psychiatrists, could perform them on their patients without the use of any anesthesia or being done in like an operating room or anything like that. So they can just...
Oh my god!
I know! You just go into like a therapy session.
Like a dentist's office.
Yeah, and you leave with like a brain surgery.
That's
Isn't
insane.
that crazy? Yeah, exactly.
Just DIY, so wild. I know. Lobotomy.
Jeez. Okay, he called it the transorbital lobotomy. The procedure involved an operating instrument that resembled an ice pick, which was placed under the eyelid and against the top of the eye socket.
Oh.
A mallet was then used to drive the instrument through the thin layer of bone and into the brain.
Why were they like, let's just stab blindly into your brain and hope that fixes whatever's wrong with you?
Early 1900s, it's a messy time.
I have had some headaches where I'm like, you know what?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Stab in the brain might actually help this.
Me too, actually. Or like when your arm hurts, you'd think like cutting it would be better.
Relief.
So yeah, I know. Usually patients would be exposed to electroconvulsive therapy to induce seizures to make them unconscious. So it was sometimes not like fully conscious people being done on, but unconscious people. But even though they still wake up and have that done to them.
God, talk about the worst way to wake up from a nap ever.
Oh,
mid-lobotomy.
Imagine. So others, surgeons, would find Freeman's work to be disgusting and inhumane, as I would hope. But you know,
Thank
it's
God
early
someone
1900s, so you don't even know about those times.
Oh, at that time, like, in order to be a medical student, you had to go out and get bodies, like, grave rob. Because, like, they needed bodies to practice on. So, yeah, this time was pretty unhinged. In order to be a doctor, you already had to be pretty fucked up.
I know, and I think this guy doesn't even have any surgical experience.
Oh, great!
Yeah, exactly.
Stab in the brain.
He doesn't. Okay,
he's like as qualified as I am.
I know, he went to Yale, though, but not
Oh, shit,
because
okay,
of
that's
that.
a little more qualified than me.
But not for a surgeon, not being a surgeon. So his procedures popularized lobotomies worldwide, and Freeman even got to travel around the nation to various psych wards conducting lobotomies to unfortunate patients that crossed his path. And, you know, his critiques, like the people that didn't really like him and stuff, called his little tour, or like the little van he went in, the Lobotomobile.
Okay, that's kind of slay, though.
I know.
I feel like that's like good advertising.
Yeah.
That makes me kind of want one.
No, you do not want one.
I know. I kid, but no, I'm good.
I can't even explain. I'm going to explain more about it.
Oh, yay.
So now, let's just go into the mind of this monster, all right? Walter Freeman. His early life was rather normal for an adolescent in those times. He didn't seem to be inclined to pursue medicine early on until he got his bachelor's degree from Yale University. After that, he began studying medicine at the University of Pennsylvania, and from there, his ambition began. He would slowly work towards becoming a neurosurgeon that worked with mentally ill patients. It was stated that before he began with lobotomies and all that, Freeman was specialized in electroshock therapy and various forms of chemical therapy. So
I think he might have just like torturing people.
That's what people did back then, I guess. It's like normal. Yeah, so I guess he did have a little bit of expertise, but not in like brain surgery.
Yeah, no, you did have a lot of expertise in that.
But as soon as Antonio Moniz, a Portuguese neurosurgeon, invented a new form of brain surgery known as the prefrontal lobotomy, Freeman gained inspiration to develop his own form of brain surgery, which he ended up calling a lobotomy.
I feel like brain surgery shouldn't be something that's trendy.
I know. I feel like brain surgery shouldn't have been done in such an early time either. I feel like they don't have the technology for that. Why even messing with it.
They hadn't even known germs existed for very long.
Oh, really?
During the Civil War, they were like, what? What are those? And
Wow.
yeah, washing hands stuff? No, not a thing.
So this original one from the Portuguese guy, the procedure involved drilling a hole into the patient's head and using a tool which deployed like a looped wire that would grab a hold of a piece of the brain and then like tying it and then ripping it off.
Oh,
like
that's
cutting
awful.
it.
You know when you hit your like elbow and stuff wrong and it hits your bone really, really deep?
Yeah, and you feel it like all in the nerves.
Yeah, and it echoes.
It
It reverberates. Imagine that as a drill in your skull.
Yeah, imagine that.
Horrific.
I know, right? I can't even imagine. It's just horrible. But he would cut the sections off that was thought to occupy like the mental illness in your brain or something. And obviously that's not what it was. Freeman started to lose confidence in this form of lobotomy, so he decided to develop the procedure even further, which ended up just becoming his transorbital lobotomy.
Ugh.
I know. Most physicians disapproved of this procedure, but underqualified people such as patients and civilians would approve of it. And even though they don't have that expertise, everybody would just accept it, you know?
I would say, like, oh my god, how did that happen? But after the last 5 years,
I know.
we know exactly how that happens. We've
people are
seen
so
it.
gullible. It's
They will totally just
crazy.
believe something their uncle says over things that people say that have studied it. It'll be like 100 people that have spent their entire lives studying this and have so many accolades and have proven themselves so many times. And their cousin Tiffany on Facebook will say no, and they'll believe her.
I know, they're so dumb. It's so infuriating. In January 1946, he performed his first transorbital lobotomy procedure. He operating on a depressed and violent 21-year-old woman, obviously. Because everybody was depressed and violent in those times.
I mean, I would have been. They
Yeah,
fucking
I
were
know.
like, women can't go on trains, their vaginas will fly
Exactly,
out.
and they're drilling holes in people's...
They're drilling holes in people.
The procedure was deemed a success. The patient was able to return to a relatively normal life after he
shit.
became docile and all that.
Oh, not docile.
I know. Imagine that. Imagine just they didn't actually fix anything. She's just scared of showing her emotion because of what they did to her to take that away.
You don't have as many emotions. Your brain's not the same
Oh,
capability.
yeah, true. So, of the 3,500 lobotomies he performed or supervised during his career, an estimated 490 individuals died as a result of the treatment. Yeah, his attitude and fatality rate combined with his lack of interest in describing a scientific basis for his procedure left him with little authority in the medical community. Thank God.
Holy crap.
I
Okay, wait,
know.
how many did he do?
3,500.
And how many died?
490.
That is, I'm actually, first of all, I'm shocked that number is not higher.
I know, right? But it's not like the others, like, lived a normal life after
Oh,
that.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
for
no,
sure.
they had seizures. They had, they were, like, mentally ill and all that.
Yeah, just totally
Yeah,
handicapped.
exactly.
And that many people let him,
I know.
including the Kennedys.
Oh, really?
Oh,
I
yeah,
didn't know
Rosalie
that.
Kennedy, she got a lobotomy. I'm not sure if he's the one that did that one. I'll have to find out. I'm pretty sure he is, though. I'll Google that real quick. But yeah, Rosalie Kennedy, she had a lobotomy because basically she was kind of she was difficult, quote unquote, but she probably just had bipolar disorder.
Yeah, probably.
And they kept her locked up and no one knew until she was like a senior citizen and she passed away and then people found out.
Oh, wow. I never knew that. Not even because I'm researching this. That's crazy. I didn't hear about that.
You can go ahead and continue. I'll interrupt.
Thankfully, he died of cancer in 1972. That's the end of him and his torturous, horrible procedures of lobotomies. Even though they kind of died down in the 60s because people started to gain a brain after that. And
The ones that hadn't had already
I
drilled.
know. Exactly. But one of the people that had a lobotomy performed on them actually spoke out. And this is what he had to say about it and about his experience. He said, quote, "It's a situation you should only go through once in your life, and that's when you're dying. It felt like a broom handle was being pushed in my brain and my head was splitting apart." Imagine that.
That's horrific. That's
I know.
really horrific.
That's
I couldn't even imagine.
scary how people were just subjected to that kind of torture back in the day.
Walter Freeman and James W. Watts are the two that carried out the lobotomy on Rosalie
Oh my gosh,
Kennedy.
that's the guy.
Rosemary Kennedy, excuse me.
Wow. I didn't even know that.
The Wall Street Journal has called it the saddest story ever told, that of Rosemary Kennedy. She was the oldest daughter of Rose and Joseph Kennedy, the sister of John, Robert, Ted, and the 5 other Kennedy siblings. Rosemary was born with intellectual disabilities, which many linked to decisions made during her birth, and which her family hid for decades. When she was 23 years old, Rosemary underwent a lobotomy that left her permanently incapacitated, and she was institutionalized for the rest of her life.
Well, that one's mine.
That's so dark. Oh
Yeah.
God, I don't even imagine how you can move forward knowing that happened to your brain.
I know, just the sheer trauma of it is just horrible.
And the fact that so many families were like, yes, do that to my child, do that to my wife.
I know, and these, you would think it was like a delicate thing they would do right there. It takes like 10 minutes to grab a mallet and an ice pick and just start.
Mallets should not be a part of surgery.
Yeah, I think they are though, like to break bones or something.
There's bone crackers.
Oh, ew.
But you usually don't need to break bone in surgery.
Oh, okay.
Bone saw as well for like brain surgery.
Oh yeah, bone saw. I forgot about that one.
Nice and graphic. All right, I would hope to say we're gonna end on a high note.
Oh.
I'm gonna call this ending on a low note, possibly.
It's not gonna be good.
It's dark. It's sad. It's not dark in the way yours is dark. It's dark in a different way.
Okay.
So my second topic is Brian Sinclair.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Sinclair was a 45-year-old Indigenous Canadian man, a double amputee, and he used a wheelchair. On September 19th, 2008, Brian Sinclair visited a community health clinic for a blocked catheter. Side note, catheters terrify me.
What
terrify
is
me. You like it goes in your pee hole.
Oh!
It's like it goes supposed to pee in a bag. And when you give birth, you have to use a catheter. And the catheter, I don't.
Wait, are we talking about girls or boys?
Boys and girls, they both get
both?
catheters.
Oof.
So both are pee holes. Which, no offense, I think my pee hole's more scary to have something go
What?
into
No,
it. Yours,
guy
like,
pee holes
looks like
is
it's
worse.
made to have something go into
No.
it.
You don't have it, so you don't even understand.
Oh, I'm just saying visually. One of them, some people don't know that it's there. Some people think women pee from their vagina.
Okay.
It's not. It's in between. It's not. It's a tiny. Like you can't even. Like you have to really look to see the hole there.
Okay.
So
Does
to
that
me,
make a difference though?
To me, it seems like a penis is like made. Are we really having this conversation?
Okay. Yeah.
Probably cut
You
that.
brought it up.
Cody can attest. If I talk about having catheter for too long or in too much detail, I start crying because it scares me so much.
Oh my god.
My real horror movie.
You have to.
You have
Like
to.
100%. Everybody does that.
If you're at the hospital, yes.
Why don't you get a C-section?
You still have to get a catheter.
Oh, seriously? Damn.
And also C-sections. C-sections are not like an easy way out. It's like the
I
other
know.
horrible version.
Yeah, it's absolutely horrible.
But yeah, I get you mean if you could avoid the catheter that way. But no, you have to get it either way. So, he visited for a blocked catheter. Again, September 19th. They referred him to the Winnipeg Health Center. He arrived there at 3 p.m. September 19th. When he arrived, he also had a literal note from the clinic explaining that he had a blocked catheter, a dangerous condition that needed immediate assistance.
Wait, did you say September 19th?
Yes.
That's also close to your birthday.
Isn't it? It was, yeah, it is right now. I was
Did
thinking
you
about
do that on purpose?
Nope, it just happened.
Oh my gosh.
It means I picked the right ones.
I know, right? The universe.
A sign. I'm on the right path.
Oh, not to the catheter.
Oh no, not that path. Oh god, I was talking about the podcast, not the catheter path.
Oh, okay.
If this is a catheter path, I'm off this ride. He spoke with a triage aide, which is like the first nurse you speak to that takes like your weight and your medical history and asks your questions and blah blah blah, who instructed him to wait in the waiting room. At that point, the triage nurse wrote something down, but it's never been found what was written down. At some point during that evening, the triage list of like all the people that were waiting was discarded and a new one began, which doesn't make any fucking sense.
Suspicious.
So by 12 a.m. September 20th, over 10 hours in, other patients and family of patients report speaking to Sinclair about having waited so long, how he was actively vomiting, and spoke to staff that this gentleman needed assistance. Again, he got there at 3 p.m. This is now midnight that night.
Oh, wow.
Sometime over the next 24 hours, he died. It wasn't until 1 a.m., September 21st, 25 hours after the midnight before, when people were being like, can you guys help him, that a nurse was asked to check on Sinclair. Instead of checking on him, she continued to do paperwork. And then another nurse from another building approached a security guard, showing that she thought he must be dead as he had pasty skin and a pasty neck and an empty catheter bag. The security guard approached Brian Sinclair and pinched his neck. No response. When the guard tried to get medical staff, they thought it was a joke. When they finally went to check on Sinclair, he was taken straight to the resuscitation room and declared deceased right away.
Oh my god. That's crazy. You know, I always think about that. You know how they, like, have super long waiting times? And, like, what if somebody's actively dying?
Yeah, that's
like,
why they try to...
Or, like, have a stab wound or something that needs it right now or something. But they always have, like...
That's the point of triage, is to try to get an order of who needs help first.
Oh, I see.
But clearly they fucked up the triage.
Oh, I see.
But that is one of the side effects of a bad triage, of things like racism coming into effect during something like triage.
Yeah.
And then people don't get the care they actually need.
Yeah.
The autopsy revealed that he died of both preventable and treatable bladder infection due to his blocked catheter bag. He was dead 2 to 7 hours before he was finally found and acknowledged.
Was he by himself?
He was alone, yes.
Wow. Yeah.
He had been observed at least 17 occasions, documented occasions, between checking in at 3 p.m. September 19th and being declared dead at 1:30 a.m. September 21st, 34 and a half hours later.
That is so sad. I can't even think about it. Imagine what was going through his mind.
I know, he just wanted help. He was where they were supposed to help him.
I know, and he was waiting patiently, like, how he's supposed to do and what he was been told, and still they failed him.
Other people were literally like, can you help him? Security staff and other patients alerted the nursing staff multiple times and were ignored. An inquest investigating the death showed that the staff thought that Sinclair was drunk, had been discharged, or was waiting for a bed. Like, different nurses gave different excuses.
Oh, okay, yeah, excuses.
Internal review concluded that it would be unfair to punish the staff involved.
Who else would have been punished?
I know.
Who else's fault is this?
Unpreventable, according to them.
It's 100% preventable. That's like the most preventable thing I've ever heard.
Literally, multiple judges, groups, individuals, and committees have declared his death preventable. One includes the Brian Sinclair Working Group, which released an interim report 9 years after his death and put forth 63 recommendations to overhaul the front end of Winnipeg's healthcare services. That's just the front end. That's check-in. That's 63 things you're doing wrong at check-in.
Wow.
While that is helpful, it has been criticized, including by his family, for ignoring the blatant racism at play here.
While testifying at the inquest into Sinclair's death, Remillard said he assumed Sinclair was intoxicated.
The drunken Indian stereotype is prolific, even though research has found that white families and Native families, both in Canada and in the States, share similar levels of alcoholism across the board. This stereotype has lasted since settlers landed in North America, when they would trade alcohol for fur and skins from the natives. They literally came and traded alcohol with these Native Americans and Indigenous Canadians, and were like, here, get drunk. And then we're like, oh my god, did you see them get drunk? And then, committed a genocide and targeted their communities and killed huge parts of their communities. And then, of course, we're like, you're coping with alcohol? What the fuck? And then they're not even doing more so.
Shit. Oh my god.
Yeah. It's much like Black Americans in the United States. There been documented and proven research that they are not believed and are often discriminated against in healthcare. However, even though Indigenous people do not drink more than white people, they tend to die of alcoholism at much higher volumes than white people. This has been studied, and the reason is thought to be because the stereotype is so harmful. They're not as likely to have help offered. They're not as likely to receive help because of the drunk, alcoholic Indian stereotype. And that is, again, both in the United States and in Canada. So not only, their racism is hitting them from all fronts, it's making it, the experience of the racism that their community has given gives PTSD, leads to alcoholism being more prolific and, physically passing along. It hits them in not having as much of help and being shamed more and not wanting to get help. And then when they finally fucking do go to get help for any reason, they're racist there, and he fucking died because they were racist.
What year is this? Because I can literally believe this happened today.
That was 2008.
Wow. Way
and again,
too
Canada. So, obviously there's a lot of things about Canadian healthcare that are better than American healthcare, but it sure as hell isn't perfect.
Yeah. Way too racist. That's wild. You did end it in a bad note.
Medical malpractice. It's dark.
Medical malpractice. Wow. At least we're through with this topic.
Yes.
And we're into the next one.
Next week's topic. What's next week's topic?
Oh, shoot. I don't even know. Let me check. I think it's a home invasion.
I think it is too.
Hold on, let me check. Yeah, home invasion. Next podcast.
Next week, home invasions. That'll be interesting.
Yeah. I'm so excited for that one.
I am too. I think there's a lot of fruit to pluck from that tree.
Yeah, a lot of unclaimed land. All right, guys. Thank you for following us today. I know we're not super polished or anything, but it's our first podcast. It's our first episode, so please don't judge us too much.
But let us know what we can change and improve. And we will see you next week. Be careful. Be safe.
And we'll see you later. Next episode.
Bye.
Bye.